All right, is the sound working? No sound detected. It is working. I don't know why it's saying that. All right, all right. This is crazy. Fairs. I never thought I'd be reading this headline. I never thought I'd be reading that. That is something. That's the state that we're in right now as a country. That's what I'm gonna say. When I saw this, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I recognize this guy's name from Twitter, but I did not know he was a GB News host. Oh, I don't know what to say, man. I don't know what to say. This is just, and the fact that he might win as well. Now that Andy Burnham's not running against him, yeah, it's not looking good. Anyways, I've gone live to do this test. Yesterday I did the political compass. This is slightly more nuanced. And I have done this before as well. But let's see if my answers have changed at all. All right. Cool. If anyone in the chat wants to debate any of my answers, feel free to do that. Feel free. I like having conversations, not arguments, but conversations. Oppression by corporations is more of a concern than oppression by governments. Isn't there one with more questions? I might be wrong. 70 questions seems a little bit short. Anyways, let's just do whatever they give me. Oppression by corporations is more of a concern than oppression by governments. That's a big start, you know. I mean, they're both a cause for concern, aren't they? Which one's more than the other? I mean, I feel like governments can oppress with greater force in more extreme cases than corporations, at least throughout history. We've seen more oppressive governments impact more people than corporations. However, I mean, corporations oppressing their workers is more of a prevalent theme than the other way around, I'd say, especially in the developed world. But I would say I disagree with that statement. I think oppression by governments is more of a concern than oppression by corporations. I think it is necessary for the government to intervene in the economy to protect consumers. Yes, of course it is. I'm not a libertarian. If you don't regulate businesses, what's going to happen? The burden and the oppression of governments will just get shifted onto corporations who have profits in mind and can't be voted out of power. So I strongly agree with that. The free of the markets, the free of the people. They've got this question on the political compass test as well, and I answered, I think, disagree. I'll say my same answer this time. I do disagree because, well, to a certain point, if you find the right balance here, a free market can produce products which improve the lives of the people. Hence, you could say it makes a freer society. However, if a market becomes too free, what happens? What do we see? Well, we see workers who have no safety nets in society. If anything goes wrong in their work, if they get ill, if they get an injury which debilitates them from working, what happens? They can't work. They can get fired by employers who've got no restrictions on what they can do to their workers, and then they can't find another job. So they're pretty much confined to their employment if we just have a completely free market, which does not make the people freer. So I disagree with that statement. It is better to maintain a balanced budget than to ensure welfare for all citizens. So this is kind of asking me austerity or not austerity to an extent. And that's kind of a simplification of the question, isn't it? It's better to maintain a balanced budget than to ensure welfare for all citizens. I think they're both good things, obviously. What's better than the other? It's better to maintain a balanced budget than to ensure welfare for all citizens. I disagree. This quiz is called the 8values quiz. It's at the top here. I don't know if you can see it on the live actually. It's called 8values. I'll type it in the chat. It's good. It gives you a range of answers across different categories in society. It's good. It is better to maintain a balanced budget than to ensure welfare citizens. I disagree. I think it is important to maintain a balanced budget. Did I just answer 2 questions? I didn't. I think it is important to be fiscally reliable and smart and sensible, but you should ensure that all people have a safety net. This is not the same quiz that I did yesterday. This is a different quiz. This quiz is called the 8values quiz. The quiz I did yesterday is called the political compass test. This one's a little bit more nuanced, I would say. So no, it's not the same quiz. Publicly funded research is more beneficial to the people than leaving it to the market. Publicly funded research is more beneficial to the people than leaving it to the market. I don't know. Can any of you give me an example of this? I don't know. I mean, I don't trust the markets in most things. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't trust them with medical research because then they've got ulterior motives such as profits rather than to just support the people. Hello, Alice. Hello, B. So no, I agree with this. I agree with this. Tariffs on international trade. Yeah, I was going to say publicly funded because no motives, but sometimes they're underfunded. That's a good point. But I think the fundamental basis of it is publicly funded, no motives, strictly what can benefit the most people. And also, it's not run by bureaucrats. So if it's publicly funded, we can choose who decides that policy. So we can vote certain parties in and out of power depending on what they do for us. So that's another. What party would you vote for? I'm new here. Right now, honestly, mate, I have no clue. I used to be leaning a lot towards Greens. I still am in that territory, but I don't know, bro. Honestly, I'm just keeping my options open until close to the election. I know it's kind of a cop-out of an answer, but I'm not really in a spot. None of us really are in a spot to exclude potential options. Tariffs on international trade are important to encourage local production. Tariffs on international trade are important to encourage local production. I mean, Greens, fair enough. I wouldn't say green is a good idea. I mean, that's fair enough. You can have that opinion. I'm skeptical. Don't get me wrong. I'm skeptical of all these parties. I'm just weighing up what spreads the best message. Who is trying to create a narrative. So you can say Greens is horrendous. Firstly, that sentence isn't grammatically correct. You would say Greens are horrendous, but I'll forgive you. You just have to give me a reason because I can't tackle that point, can I? I can't say, no, you're wrong. Greens aren't horrendous. Exactly. Give your reasoning. The same guy who hypnotized women for money. Bro, that's a fair criticism. That's an odd thing to do. He's apologized for it though. Look, Nigel Farage's done some odd things. I'd say what Nigel Farage's done is worse. I mean, you could debate that, I guess. But I mean, it's a weird thing to do. I'm not going to lie to you. It was a weird thing to do. Let me answer this question. Tariffs on international trade are important to encourage local production. They are a good way to do that, but sometimes, I mean, you don't necessarily. I mean, the negatives outweigh the positives. So, I mean, the statement is fundamentally correct, but I just don't agree. Nigel's definitely worse, but Zach isn't good either. That's fair. Picking the worst or the best out of the two evils. Did you see what Farage said about Minnesota? What did Farage say about Minnesota? I think I roughly saw what he said. He kind of sort of condemned it, but then justified it. That's what he does. He sits on the fence a lot. Nigel Farage sits on the fence. He wants to seem electable whilst also pandering to the far right and to Donald Trump. From each according to his ability to each according to his needs. In a utopian society, yes, but we don't live in a utopian society. I'm neutral on this because I like Marxism as a critique of capitalism. I don't necessarily like the solution that it offers to the problem. But yeah, it would be best if social programs were abolished in favor of private charity. Are you taking the mick, bro? Are you taking? Oh, I'm actually getting gifts. Fairs. Oh, thank you for that, Camille and Alice. I appreciate that a lot. I'm not going to start doing dances or anything like that, but I appreciate it. It would be best if social program. Yeah, this is awful. This is an awful take. No, charity's good though. Don't get me wrong. Charity's good. Thank you for the roses. Taxes should be increased on the rich to provide for the poor. See, I'm not going to go strongly agree because I feel like when they say rich, sometimes they just mean people on above average salary. And I don't necessarily want people on above average salary, such as 100K a year, to pay a lot more. It's about the ultra wealthy who are hoarding wealth and who are also, whose wealth is rising exponentially. So I agree. What are you not debating about now? Minnesota. He essentially said you don't need to bring a gun. You don't bring a gun to a protest, yet it's an ICE raid where violence is the norm. So why wouldn't you use something? But not even that, bro. You don't need to justify carrying a gun in America or in Minnesota. It's a legal right reinforced by the amendment, well, the Constitution, the Second Amendment. You legally have a right to carry a gun. And he never pulled it out of the holster. You can see the video. He never used it out. He never pulled it out even for self-defense or even to threaten the authorities. He just had it in his holster. He got disarmed, and then the police started firing shots. It's a complete disgrace. Anybody telling you otherwise is a lunatic. Don't listen to them. See, this is the thing that I can't have debates on. I can debate people on Reform UK, sort of, versus Greens, whatever. That's fine. You can have a debate on that. I can't have a debate about what I saw with my own eyes, which was a person getting gunned down by federal law enforcement agencies for no reason. No lawful reason. There's no lawful reason to do that. I don't care. I will never be gaslighted on that. Yeah. Inheritance is a legitimate form of wealth. It's a legitimate form of wealth. It's not necessarily the most desirable form. You'd want to, I guess, get your wealth from hard work. But yeah, I don't really care, to be honest. I think it should be taxed, but I'm not against it. Basic utilities like roads and electricity should be publicly owned. Strongly agree. Again, I think we should have a say in how we live, the institutions and the structures that are built for us to live. Alice sent a slate. You know what? I don't know how much these cost, but if you're actually spending money on this, please stop. Because, I mean, I really appreciate it, but I don't want you spending money on this. But thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Government intervention is a threat to the economy. I mean, too much, yes, but no, overall it's a good thing. Would you recommend I take politics with economics? Are you talking about a degree or an A-level? Because I'm not at degree level yet. I'm in year 13. If you're talking about A-levels, I didn't take either of those. However, A-levels, okay, I've heard from people who do politics and economics, mixed things. If you're interested in politics, do politics. And economics is a good thing to do alongside it. You'll get a good image of course, the economic side of politics and also how to implement that into policy. So I definitely recommend that mix. That is a good mix. It will be tough. There's a lot of content in those subjects, but go for it, bro. Go for it. You need government to intervene for public good. Yeah, exactly. You can't trust a free market, an anarcho-capitalist market. It's dystopia. It's not even like utopia, like communism. It's just dystopia. Those with a greater ability to pay should receive better healthcare. See, I'm not against private healthcare because I think that it does serve a function in society where it frees up places for waiting lists for people who really need it and can't afford private to go public. So I agree. Free market politics, if it's so free, would mean slave auctions exist. Literally, bro. That's the simplest way you can put it. I didn't know both. It was amazing. Yeah, they sound like a good mix. Quality education is a right of all people. Strongly agree. I mean, how could you disagree with that? The quiz is called 8 values. If there's any moderators that are watching this, can you pin this comment? If not, I can do it. Actually, yeah, it's easy. I'll just do it. I think that's pinned. No, yeah, it's pinned. All right, that's the name of the quiz. It's called 8 values. The means of production should belong to the workers who use them. See, I think this question, yeah, if I had answered this, which I did answer this, like 5 months ago when I first started this account, I probably would have put agree. I don't necessarily think it should belong to the workers, but I think they should have a democratic say in who does run it. So I guess I'll go neutral. Workers should own a stake. Yeah, workers should definitely own a stake, but they should also have a say in who owns the majority. Alice with another slay and another rose and another slay. Thank you very much, Alice. Thank you very much. Disagree. Most the workers who use them are too dumb to own. One of the reasons communism falls. That's fair. I mean, I do think that is a good critique as to why workers shouldn't own the means of production, but I still think they should have a say in who owns it. It should just be democratic. The United Nations should be abolished. Strongly disagree, although it is kind of pointless to an extent. It should have more power, but that's a tough thing to implement because, of course, different countries across different borders are going to want different laws, and that is a part of sovereignty. So it's a hard thing to enforce. Military action by our nation is often necessary to protect it. Yes, agree. Often necessary, yeah. If you get invaded illegally, you're going to want to defend yourself, aren't you? For sure. I support regional unions such as the European Union. Is the quiz not pinned? Did I not just pin it? It's called 8values. I'll say it again. I probably should have. Is this for your own ideology? Yeah, it's for my own ideology. It's called 8values. It's a good quiz. I do support regional unions. I think there are flaws with it though. You did pin it, but it didn't stay for long. What does that even mean? Thank you for the rose. I appreciate it, mate. Master of the apple. I appreciate that a lot. I'll just put it again. I guess maybe this time, hopefully, it stays for longer. What did I do? Wait, bro, this isn't my Mac, so I'm awful at typing on it. I'm used to having a small little iPad keyboard. Okay, I'm gonna try it. Pin it again. See if that works. Alice sent Tom the tomato. I didn't even know they had all these gifts. I didn't know they had all these gifts. I'm learning new things. I do support regional unions such as the European Union, but they do have problems. So I won't go strongly agree. It is important to maintain our national sovereignty. Did I pin it? I did. Strongly agree. It is important to, yeah, it is. A united world government would be beneficial to mankind in a utopian society, yes, for sure. But right now, I mean, I just think this is not feasible in today's society. We've got too many disagreements for this to work. But I do think it would be beneficial if we had a common goal. Cultures are too different. Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, that's fair. I think it would be beneficial if we put our differences aside and work together more. But that's utopian, isn't it? So I don't know. It is more important to retain peaceful relations than to further our strength. Strongly agree. Wars do not need to be justified to other countries. Strongly disagree. What? So what? I could just like go to, I don't know, Taiwan, or China's doing that already. China can go to Taiwan and say we got no reason to invade you lot, but hush, all right? There's nothing you can do about it. We don't have to justify ourselves. I don't know. I mean, most of the time when people go to war illegally, they don't even justify it. They just do it. They'll come up with some lazy excuse. The excuse will get debunked, like Iraq. The excuse will get debunked, and they'll just be like, "Well, it happened. Too late," and nothing will ever get enforced. Military spending is a waste of money. Disagree. I don't think it's a waste of money, especially not in today's age. International aid is a waste of money. Strongly disagree. My nation is great. Ooh. I mean, yeah, why not? I think there are flaws to every nation, of course, but I think this country has done a lot of good. Maybe not for the world. Maybe not for the world. I think it's done more negative for the world. Now it's a shell of itself. I disagree with that. I think the UK is very pessimistic right now, but I think the UK still got a lot of good. I think the people, for the most part, are still very friendly, helpful, compassionate. The NHS is struggling, but we're still very grateful to have it. Let me join. I'm not necessarily doing guests right now, Otis, bro, because I'm not doing, like, if you want to debate my points, I'm doing this test by myself. I don't see what having someone else would. Maybe I'll do a live later, or I'll let other people join and chat. If you have anything to say to these questions, put it in the chat. The culture is still great, but the economy is bad. That's another fair outlook. I'll go agree. Why not? Why not? I'm proud of this country for the good it's done, but I'm also critical. Research should be conducted on an international scale. I don't necessarily think it should be conducted on an international scale, but I think the research itself, the information, should be distributed universally. So I guess I agree. Government should be accountable to the international community. I strongly agree. What does that even mean? What question are you saying that to, Ben? What does what even mean? The previous question or the one before that? The research one. I think it means, so it means, for example, medical research. Yo, Otis, bro, I swear to God, if you start chatting nonsense on this live, I'm going to ban you. But that caught me off guard. It got a little laugh out of me, so I'll allow it. I think it means that, for example, medical research for the cure for cancer, that should be something that all countries work collectively to achieve, and then they should all have equal access to that cure. It shouldn't just be America, for example, conducts that research by themselves, finds a cure, and then says, all right, you're not going to have to pay for this information now, or they just gatekeep it. I think that's how I've interpreted that. Even when protesting an authoritarian government, violence is not acceptable. That is a good comment, whoever that is. I rate that. That got me. Even when protesting an authoritarian government, violence is not acceptable. No, I disagree. I think there are, not violence against yourselves. I don't think violence is good, but if it's last resort, I think it's last resort. Yeah. My religious values should be spread as much as possible. My religious values don't exist. But I guess if you're talking about the lack of existence, I don't think that should be spread. I think people should just believe what they want to believe. I don't think any religious belief should be spread. I think it should just be an individual thing that people decide for themselves. Should be spread as much as possible. Yeah, strongly disagree. That question is weird if you're not religious, yeah. State atheism, so secularism. Yeah, we've got that to an extent in the UK. I got a monopoly on the whole industry. Otis. How did your exam go today, Otis? How did your exam go? It is very important to maintain law and order. I do agree with that for the most part. How was this live turned into a conversation on what shall not be named? But anyways, go for it, I don't mind. The general populace makes poor decisions. I actually think this is unfortunately true a lot of times. Brexit, Boris Johnson, just in our country, to name a few. But yeah, I agree. I think it does. The question doesn't say always makes poor decisions or tends to make. It just says they make poor decisions, and I agree. Extremely true. Green gaining popularity. See, that's the thing. Like, you see that as a bad opinion, but Green Party members will see you as a bad opinion. That just proves that it's all subjective, and that question is true. I think you got to spread awareness. Okay. Physician-assisted suicide should be legal. Can I even say that word on live? I don't even know if I can say that word on live. Who cares? We'll find out later, I guess. Yeah, I don't know why not. Obviously it should be very heavily regulated, and it should be only for the most extreme cases of excruciating pain when you're already about to go. But I think if it's putting somebody out of their misery, it's putting somebody out of their misery. Because my favorite color is green. That's some good logic. The sacrifice of some civil liberties is necessary to protect us from acts of terrorism. I think sometimes. What civil liberties though? I'm unsure on that one actually. Government surveillance is necessary in the modern world. I agree with that. This guy knows ball. I think euthanasia discriminately targets minority and working class people. Can you elaborate on that? That's an interesting point. I never thought of it like that. That's an interesting point, but can you expand on that a little bit? Why is that? The very existence of the state is a threat to our liberty. Not the very existence of it. Because I think even without a state, there'd be threats to our liberty, because there wouldn't be anything to define what liberty is. Civil liberties, freedom of speech, freedom of movement, freedom of autonomy, just to name a few. Okay. What website is that? Bro, the comment keeps getting unpinned apparently. It's called 8values. Can you not see in the top here? Maybe it's cropped out of the stream. It's called 8values. Regardless of political opinions, it is important to side with your country. I think you should never pray on your country's downfall. But if your country is doing something very immoral, which goes against your beliefs, you should not side with your country. So I disagree. What's the point of pinning a comment if it just goes away, by the way? There's cases in Canada where they've euthanized people who are struggling to get benefits. I didn't know that. There's got to be some more nuance to that, surely. Are you going to be uploading this one on YouTube, by the way? Yes, for sure, I will be doing that. Collective over the individual. Okay. All authority should be questioned. Strongly agree. A hierarchical state is best. I mean, not too hierarchical. That's a tough word. But I do believe in a government and then the people. But obviously the people should have a say in the government. So I'm neutral on that one. It shouldn't be like a whole entire ladder where you've got steps and it progressively gets to one person with more power at the top. So it's not a pyramid, in my opinion. It's just 2 levels, I think. It is important that the government follows the majority opinion, even if it is wrong. Yes, I mean, that is the whole... Well, actually, no, I'm not going to strongly agree because not everything needs to have a vote. Not everything needs to have a vote. So actually, I'm going to go... I don't want to sit on the fence, though. Strongly disagree to this. It is important that the government follows the majority opinion, even if it's wrong. I'm going to go disagree. I don't think democracy should be us having a say in everything. I think more democracy is good for the most part. However, if it's like, should this MP go to Tesco or for Sainsbury's for lunch? Like, there's no need to have a vote on that. The majority are always wrong. Unfortunately, the majority a lot of times get swayed by propaganda, by populism, which doesn't necessarily make something wrong, but it makes something a lot more saturated and the truth becomes a lot more skewed. I can't read that whole comment. Yeah, but it should be Tesco. So, okay, no, Fez. Yeah, good point. Good point. The stronger the leadership, the better. It can be, but no, not necessarily. So disagree. Good leadership is not defined by strength. It can be a characteristic of a good leader, that they're strong, but their policy is what matters. Can I think of an example of a good leader who wasn't strong? That's actually a tough one. I think most leaders in general, good or not good, have to be strong. So it doesn't necessarily make them good, it just makes them strong. So it makes them a leader, but not necessarily a good or bad one. Natural hierarchies almost always become entrenched. Keir Starmer. That's not a bad take, That's not a bad take. Democracy is more than a decision-making process. What does that mean? Like it's more than just voting. It's more than just coming up. Yeah. Environmental regulations are essential. Strongly agree. Even though they don't do much as it is, but they are. Imagine what would happen if they weren't there in the first place. Sapley values is a good test, by the way. It uses these questions and maps them onto the political compass. I might do that tomorrow then. Wait, Marcus, could you just message me on TikTok Sapley values so I don't forget? If that's all right with you. John Major was a good PM despite being less stronger than his predecessor. Good point. He was better than Margaret Thatcher. A better world will come from automation, science, and technology. Oh, it should. It could. But will it? The question says will. I'm going to go agree because I think throughout history, science has made life better, or at least more easier, more efficient, more convenient. But it's a big risk, especially with automation now. There's a big risk of that not going to plan. Children should be educated in religious or traditional values. Disagree. I think children should just be educated into values, not necessarily religious or traditional, just values. But I guess they are based on tradition, aren't they? Because the values that we're taught are traditional values. But I don't think they should be religious. I'm going to go disagree. I get you. Yeah, thank you, Finn, bro. Traditions are of no value on their own. What does that mean? So it's asking me traditions aren't a value on their own. It's how people interpret them and how people act out on them. That gives it its value in society, maybe. So, for example, you could use a tradition in a bad way or a good way, but I can't think of an example. Under capitalism, innovation is commodified and weaponized, so I don't know if technology improving would help. Yeah, I can agree with you that it is weaponized. However, throughout history, I mean, at least in modernity and late modernity and where we are now, we've got more medical advancements, we've got more vaccines. Some people don't see that as a good thing now, but who cares? Got more vaccines, more cures to diseases, and that's just looking at medicinal advancements. The test called is 8values. Yeah, thank you for putting that in chat. Traditions are of no value on their own. Yeah, I agree. I think it's how people interpret them and use them. Religion should play a role in government. Strongly disagree. Churches should be taxed the same way other institutions are taxed. Agree. Climate change is currently one of our greatest threats to our way of life. I mean, in the future it will be, for sure. Currently, we can probably get away with it for another 100 years. But I'm going to go agree, because it will happen eventually. We will get cooked. Like, we genuinely will get cooked alive if we carry on. Especially with guys like Trump coming into power and just calling it false. I remember being a kid. And when you're a kid, like, your whole circle, whatever your parents are telling you, whatever your teachers are telling you, whatever the consensus is in your society, you think that everybody believes that. So when America elected a guy, who looks like the sun, who didn't believe in climate change, I was like, what's going on? Do I live in reality? But yeah, it's dangerous, because climate change is real. You can't deny it. I'm sorry. Or, I mean, I'm not a scientist, but I listen to the scientists and what they say. 8-year-old me was devastated when Hillary lost. How old was I? I think I was 8 as well, I was 8 or 9. But yeah, I couldn't believe it. I woke up in the morning and my parents were just speechless. And that was the same year that Brexit happened as well. That was probably my introduction to politics. Brexit and Trump in the same year. That is probably when a flip switched inside of me, and when I started looking at the world for what it was. Just chaos. Rough year for 8-year-old us, yeah. Hurry up, pal. Bro, if you don't want to wait for me reading the chat and whatever, you can watch the YouTube video that I'll upload after of the whole thing. You can skim to the end. But I do like to digest these questions a lot and talk to the chat. And I'm already on 50 out of 70. I've gone quite quickly. When I was 8, it was Obama. It is important that we work as a united world to combat climate change. Strongly agree. Society was better many years ago than it is now. Oh, see, you lot want me to go quickly, but I can't go quickly on a question like this, because a lot of you are going to have different opinions on this. So let's talk about this one real quick. Strongly agree. Strongly agree. I don't agree with this. I don't agree. That's not me saying society was bad many years ago. But it is how you define better, isn't it? Was it better for most people? No. Maybe it was better for the small minority of people in power, and for the aristocrats, the middle class. They were living it large, don't get me wrong. But for the working class, you lot, have you not seen what the Industrial Revolution was like? I appreciate the addition to the conversation, Craig. I disagree. I think for working class people, which is the majority of society, life objectively is more comfortable now, I think. Are you forgetting about COVID that affects society a lot? Yeah, but you're comparing this to the Spanish flu. Look at the Spanish flu. It's called 8values. Society was better in prehistory, yeah, but unfortunately we don't have anybody to ask about that. We can't just go back and ask them, and there's no videos or recordings. Again, you'll hear the good parts of it from the ones that won the wars and the ones that had the power. But for most people, life was awful, bro. I think I disagree with this. There was also no real society in prehistory. I don't think there was no structure. It was kind of just anarchism. Not totally, but 50s and 60s were best times for the working class in UK history. I don't necessarily disagree with you that it may have been the most prosperous time, or the time where they started to have more of a say in capitalism, where they could buy houses, they could buy products, with moderately low wages because inflation was obviously very low and the cost of living was very low. So I kind of get your point on that one. I do get your point. But I think that's a very short period. And Thatcher came in, Thatcher did what Thatcher did. And then it kind of got rehabilitated under Tony Blair and New Labour. And that's what I consider to be modern society. So I think it was better. It's better now because of things that New Labour did, minimum wage, also all of the social progressions that went on. It's 5 years ago, not a few years ago. The question asked, I think the question was saying, it was implying at least 100 years ago, I think. I saw your Liberal Democrat video and honestly, no disrespect, have I ever heard more rubbish? What Lib Dems video? I made a couple. It is important that we maintain the traditions of the past. Some yes, some no. It depends on what you call tradition. Like if you call a tradition saying that only heterosexual people can have marriages, and is that even a tradition? That's just the tradition is marriage, and there's certain rules for that tradition. So I think traditions in themselves are not bad. Traditions in themselves are not, like Christmas is positive. It just shouldn't exclude people out of those traditions. You should be able to have everybody enjoying. Marriage between a man and a woman, in some cases it is. It is important that we think in the long term beyond our lifespans. Strongly agree. What about your children and their children? I think traditions can keep us back if they're used to keep, but if we can bring traditions forward with us as well. We can adapt. Can I make you a moderator? I'm going to make you a moderator. Maybe not now. I'll make you a moderator after. I don't know what your name is, but I like you. Reason is more important than maintaining our culture. Reason, like, I don't know how you can argue against it. So reason implies objective reality and what's best for most people. But what is culture? The thing is, like, it depends on what culture means. It's such a broad question. There's so many different aspects of culture that some can get left behind without having much of an effect on the population, while some may be bigger celebrations. I'm kind of still on the fence here, but maybe I am neutral on this. But I'm going to go slightly agree. Drug use should be legalized or decriminalized. I guess reason over blindly following culture. I agree with you, Marcus. Reason is common sense, and common sense is the great default. Agree. Yeah. Drug use should be legalized or decriminalized. I think in some cases like weed, yes, it should be, and then it should be taxed. But I don't think, that's something I don't support the Greens on, about decriminalizing everything. So I'll go disagree. We need democratic socialism to say the contrary of social democracy. That's probably what I would go for as well. I don't think there's just an easy solution, but I would say that's probably the most desirable thing now. Same-sex marriage should be legal, strongly agree. I'm not even going to debate anyone on this because I don't know. No. No cultures are superior to others. No cultures are superior to others. Well, the thing is, it depends on what we mean by superior. We might think our culture is superior to other cultures, but they might think theirs is superior to ours. So what does it really mean? What is it like? I could go disagree because I could think some cultures are superior, but it doesn't mean anything objective. It's just an opinion. If you think reform will do little, you seriously need to do your research. Nobody thinks reform will do little. They'll do a lot of negative things for this country. Because look at the people who are in power at reform. They're all former Tories who did a lot of bad things. So no, the worry isn't that they're going to do little. In fact, if they did little, that would probably be better for the majority of people than it would be if they did a lot. If all cultures are equal, then is a culinary taste. Yeah, you can say that. Yeah, no, I would agree with you that a culture without that would be superior, but they would disagree. I'll go disagree. But I don't know. It's a slippery slide or whatever the phrase is. 10p Lee and helping nobody. Bro, the fact that everybody just glosses over 10p Lee is crazy. What was it? He said that people could make a meal for dinner for 10p. Sex outside marriage is immoral. Strongly disagree. If we accept migrants at all, it is important that they assimilate into our culture. I agree. I think assimilation is a good thing. I'm a Westerner who cares for other Western countries. Abortion should be prohibited in most cases or all cases. Yeah, I strongly disagree with that. This is called the 8values test. Gun ownership should be prohibited for those without a valid reason. Do I go strongly agree or do I go agree? Yeah, I'll go strongly agree. I don't see the net positive. In the UK, we don't have guns legalized for pretty much anyone, and we've got much lower gun crime than something like America. Even Americans would agree. Unfortunately, Marcus, I genuinely think Americans, one of the things both parties are actually united on is the Second Amendment, and I don't get it. Yes, Democrats are more for reform in it, but Kamala Harris was reassuring Americans that she wasn't going to take their guns. So the voters, the electorate clearly supports the Second Amendment. The precious Second Amendment. Exactly. I don't know why. I support single-payer universal healthcare. Single-payer universal healthcare. Is that just like the NHS? Pretty much. Can you do a commentary video on YT on the importance of Faustian spirit? I'm not educated on what Faustian spirit is. Can you let me know what that is? I don't know if you're trolling or not, but let me know. The graph of Bill Clinton doing reforms and Bush undoing it on gun deaths is crazy. Yeah, and there was something Obama tried to pass a certain bill after a school shooting and got denied by Republicans. This is called the 8values quiz, or 8values quiz. Purely government, okay, I strongly agree. Through tax money, obviously. Prostitution should be illegal. Yes. It should be illegal. I'm a liberal, but I'm not that much of a liberal. I don't think something should be legal if it's harming people. And I think that industry harms people. You know, it takes advantage of people at their lowest and when they need it most and exploits them. That's a very conservative take. I don't know if you're replying to me or someone else. The quiz is called 8values. Thoughts on trans people? If you're asking me, I've got no problem with trans people. I don't think they harm anybody inherently. So I just think they should be allowed to do what their heart desires. But abortion is okay. Yeah, abortion is okay. I wish there was a centrist party support. Yeah, I mean, read the manifestos, and then if none of them conform to what you believe in, then that's fair. Opinions on the Lib Dems. I like a lot of what they're doing. I like a lot of their rhetoric on Europe and rejoining Europe and criticizing Brexit because no other party is really doing that. And I think that would be a smart decision to at least rejoin the customs union. So I'm very happy that the Lib Dems are giving people the option of a party that is pro-Europe. Maintaining family values is essential. Yes, but I think family is essential. Family is very important, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the narrow concept of family structure that dominated modernity. I think different structures of families can perform the same types of functions, but family inherently is important. To chase progress at all costs is dangerous. At all costs? Yeah, at all costs it is. I think chasing progress is good, but at all costs? Genetic modification is a force for good, even on humans. No. Genetic modification, that is a slippery slope, for sure. No, thank you. Farage is an actual centrist. I disagree with that. We have 50% divorce rates and terrible birth rates. Family values degrading means the destruction of your culture. Yeah, fairs, I guess. I wouldn't necessarily attribute all of that you just said to degrading family values, though. What question are you on out of 70? I'm on question 67. I'm actually almost at the end. Yeah, I wasn't even planning on that being 67. That's crazy. We should open our borders to immigration. I'm not for open borders. I think immigration is a good thing, but not openly. I don't think the UK has had a problem with immigration, but we haven't had open borders either. But also, does it mean if I disagree with this, I think we should close that border? I don't want it to answer that. I don't want it to think that I'm answering that. If I disagree with having open borders, is this going to take it as me saying we should have closed borders? We should open our borders to immigration. No, because to be fair, I don't think this is asking me should we have open borders. I don't think it's telling me we should have open borders. I think it should just say should we have borders that are open to having immigrants legally through a process. So I'm actually going to go agree. We should have immigrants. Yes. Not an open border, but I don't think that's what it's asking me. Governments should be as concerned about foreigners as they are about their own citizens. What, foreigners living in their own country or foreigners in other countries? If it's talking about foreigners in other countries, I disagree. I think you should always put your citizens first. For sure. In fact, I'll go strongly disagree. You should always put your citizens first. You should never actively harm other citizens from foreign countries, but you should always prioritize your people. All people, regardless of factors like culture, like cultural sexuality, should be treated equally. Yes. Like people are gonna think that people will generally disagree to this, but yes, like it's not saying factors like criminal records or whatever. It's just saying factors like cultural sexuality. Yeah, I think people should be treated equally. Why would you disagree with that? Why would you disagree with that? What about prisoners? See, I don't think that includes prisoners. You disagree with that as well. You disagree that we shouldn't. You think we shouldn't treat all people equally regardless of culture. What about gender? I don't think it matters, because I don't think this is asking you should we treat people. Yeah, like how can we disagree with this? You lot try and interpret this in a way of, oh, women and men are inherently different biologically, so hence we should treat them differently. Nobody's saying like, I don't know, expect men to give birth all the time if they don't have female reproductive systems, and treating them as if they can all the time. That's not what people are saying. People are just saying they should have equal rights to what they need. If a woman needs water and a man needs water, they should both have equal access to it. There are obviously inherent differences, though, and that will naturally skew how they are perceived. It will skew how they are perceived, but it doesn't mean that one should get more water than the other because of a simple biological factor or a cultural factor. It shouldn't mean that a woman gets less food because she's a woman and she's different biologically. That's how I've interpreted it. If a woman needs different sexual reproductive products, then yes, but that's to me obvious. Is the question talking about basic human rights though? I think it's part of it. It says, should we treat them equally? And I think from the perspective of a government, you should treat all your people equally. Yeah, I do think it's talking about basic human rights. Because even in the question, it says regardless of culture and sexuality. So it even tells you in the question that people, yes, have different lifestyles and different values, but they shouldn't be treated differently. Because you lot that are disagreeing are all for disagreeing with that until you lot are on the back end of it, until you lot are the ones that are getting screwed over by the government. Are you telling me you wouldn't treat them differently? Treat who differently? I don't know if you're talking to me, I can't lie. You might be talking to someone else in the chat. Equal opportunity, uniquely accommodated for different groups. This question now. It is important that we further my group's goals above all others. I don't like how this question is worded. Because what is my group? Is it my friend group from school? Is it my I don't know, bro. Is it my country? The population in my country, the population in my city? How are you lot interpreting this question? Like what's the group? What's the group here? One sec. What are you lot saying? Political group, I think. Political group, so what, like your party? I don't think political group. So what? Let me put this in context. So if I was a Labour member, it would be important that Labour gets in power. I don't. Yeah, I think it means ethnicity or religion. I think it's a macro thing. Yeah, it is important that we further my group's goal above all others. It depends. I might be neutral on this. I might be neutral because it depends. Because if the interests of a different group to mine are to actively harm my group, then yes, my group's interests should be to protect my group, which goes against the interests of the group that wants to harm me. There's nothing wrong with that. However, if my group's goals are to oppress and flatten a different group for no reason, then no, it's not important that my group's goals are above them. Do you not see what I'm saying? So I think I'm going to go neutral because it really just does depend. I hope somebody gets what I've just said because I feel like it's made sense in my head, but I don't know if it has actually made sense. I get it. Yeah, so I'm going to go neutral. And I think that's it. All right, so let's see these results then. Economic axis, social. That's fair. That's fair. I expected that. Let me get my results that I got previously up on my phone. It's on my pinned in TikTok. Let me get it up so we can compare how I've changed. Hello, Tom. These questions are too vague. I agree. They are too vague. Did I do a different quiz last time? Okay, no. I've actually gotten less. Can you not see that in the camera? Let me know if you can see that or not. It might be flipped. But how long ago was this one? It was in September of last year. So like 4 months. It's flipped. Okay, so I'll just read it. I got 77% equality, 23% markets last time. So I've gone slightly a little bit more in the markets direction, maybe a bit left wing, you could say, a bit less left wing, but I'm still leaning onto that side. That's fair. That's fair. Diplomatic axis, I'm still very peaceful. So what did I do last time? Last time, if you don't already have one, you should look start a YouTube channel. I actually just started one yesterday when I'm uploading all my streams. It's in one of my TikTok stories. So if you go through my stories, it will be one of those. And this will go on there later. The order's different. I think I did a different quiz because I don't see this in the last one I did. Okay, no, there is one where it's militarist or pacifist. Or is this about globalism? This is about globalism. I got 59% on globe last time and 41% on isolationist. So I'm a little bit more of a globalist now. I'm a bit more of a globalist. Civil axis moderate. I'm more on the liberty than the authority. I think I've gotten a little bit off the liberty. Anyways, if you don't want to see my results last time, you can go onto my pinned TikTok. It's on there. Progressive. That makes sense. The ideology is at the bottom. We'll see it. I'll pin your comment, even though I don't know if pinning comments does anything anymore on this app. Okay, yeah. Social democracy. This is the thing. I don't usually tell people or give labels attached to my ideology because I think ideologies are more nuanced than what labels give out because your interpretation of social democracy might be different than my interpretation of social democracy. But I think that is accurate. I have called myself a social democrat in the past. So I do think that's accurate. Globalism is bad, pal. Not looking good. Gab smush. I disagree. I think it can be bad. I definitely agree it can be bad, and it is bad in a lot of cases. But I think it can be good as well. That's why I'm slightly more of a globalist than I am of a. I'm like, yeah, 65 to 35. The quiz is called 8 values. Cool. I think actually the one I did last time was a much longer quiz, like 300 questions, and it had more results. So I might do that later. Not today, but a different day. But I appreciate all of you lot for joining. This has been much larger live than I did yesterday. I had about 10 viewers yesterday, but I've had around 30 to 40 constantly. So I appreciate you lot joining. I appreciate you lot who disagreed and who agreed. Had some good conversations on it. That's the most important thing, conversations. I won't have anyone on here saying blatantly messed up stuff, but I can disagree. I can disagree diplomatically with you lot. Globalism is mainly bad because global corporations have so much power. I think it's actually even more than global corporations. I think it can be global governments. With this is not even about the live. I don't know why the live just got paused. I think it's because I was inactive or something. Very good stream, very interactive. Thank you. I appreciate you joining. I think the thing is with globalism, yeah. My issue with globalism is how world banks exploit developing countries by giving them loans to develop their industries and to develop their economies. However, then in return, asking for or expecting privatization of industries within those countries. So that to me is a bad thing. That's the bad thing of globalization, neocolonialism. Diverse and ceasing to be a society. Klaus, I don't want to say that name, bro. I don't know who that is, but I'm very fearful that it's somebody who I'm not going to be very fond of. I'm searching him up on my phone right now. Okay. I don't think this is who I was thinking of. Okay. Fair enough. Privatization is scummy, I agree. I had 75% market, 76% nation, 82% authority, 85% tradition. Fair enough. You're very right wing compared to me, but that's fine. It's called 8values, yeah. But yeah, if there's any last questions, ask. But I think that's it. This will be going on to YouTube later, onto the account on my TikTok story. And tomorrow I might go live. I might do a different test that Marcus sent me. When's the next stream? Like I said, tomorrow probably. I'm on a week off because of study leave for mocks, and my mocks are finished. I don't know how consistent my lives will be after this because I've got A levels coming up in the summer. But I'll try to do them every now and then. I'll run out of quizzes to do eventually, so I might just start coming on and chatting nonsense to you lot. You too. Yeah. Good luck with them. How old am I? I'm 18. Have you ever had radical political views? No, I've never been radical. No. There's been times where I might have been leaning to one side, and when you first get into politics, it's very easy to get swayed heavily onto one side or the other. But no, I don't think I've ever been a radical. I'm studying media, maths, and sociology. I'm aware it's a very strange mix, very unconventional. I actually haven't met anyone else who does that mix. But yeah, we had our mocks just now. I did the quiz. I'm neoconservative, apparently. I class myself as traditional conservative. Yeah, that's quite a weird thing to get mixed up. What is this picture on the screen? This is just my results to a test I just did. Humanities are top. What are you doing? What is my ethnic background? I'm not going to disclose everything on it, but I'm half white, half brown. I'm mixed. I feel bad for the people who had it right after Christmas. Yeah, that was me. Sociology, yeah, I enjoy it a lot. It's a good subject. I would recommend it. Can we debate college subject hierarchies? What does that mean? Well, like which subjects to do at sixth form are better, or what? What's my exact address? Give it a guess, and if you guess it right, then I will tell you if it's right or wrong. Tier list stream. I might do some tier lists actually. The weird thing is, my mocks for my UCAS were in year 12. I don't know if that's common. It was my end of year 12 mocks were the ones that really mattered, and these mocks I just did are just kind of to see where I'm at. Political leaders of history tier list. That's a good idea, although I'm not very educated on history. I won't lie. Like, I could not tell you anybody pre Second World War, to be honest. I'm pretty good post Second World War, but history I'm not very good at. Classics is top of all subject chains. What would classify as classics? Is that like history, art? I don't know. Athens. So like history. That's like history, right? Like traditional history, maybe. Bro, I'm kind of pissed that this live got paused for no reason because we were low key balling with 40 viewers and now it's at 15. But I'm probably gonna end it now anyway. Tess says I'm left wing, but I'm more with the right wing politics and I don't support either Republican or Democrat. Fair enough. I don't think Republican or Democrat. I think they're both right wing, just different factions of the right. You've got neoliberals, which are the Democrats, and the Republicans. Right now, I don't even know what the Republicans are, but they're more conservative. Use 8-axis. That's the one. I think that's the one I did, bro. I think I did 8-axis on my TikTok, and then I've done the short one here, which is 8 values. But it is what it is. I'll do 8-axis later, a different day. I'll keep it going for a bit because there's a conversation going, but I might end it soon because I might go out because all my other friends are done with their mocks too, so we're thinking of going out. 8 values is very inaccurate. I think it's quite accurate for me. 8-axis is far better, but I agree. I think 8-axis is better. It's a more substantial, nuanced quiz. Dems are right wing, same as our Labour Party. Yeah, I actually think I think the Democrats are more right wing than Labour, because in our maybe for the UK spectrum and for the American spectrum they're equal, but if you put Labour in America, bro, they would be seen as communists, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Like free healthcare. I mean, it'll be Bernie Sanders, maybe not communist, but I mean, people call Bernie Sanders communist in America all the time. Top 3 African politicians of all time. I don't think I know many except for what was his name? What was this? Oh my days! How have I forgotten? Thomas Sankara. That's the one I know of. He gets a lot of edits on TikTok. Sankara. Everything I've heard of him seems like he was a sound guy. God forbid Zach Polanski walks into America. Jesus Christ, bro! They would have a meltdown. They would have a meltdown if Zach Polanski walked into America. Gaddafi too. I'm not too educated on those guys. Many people like to claim they're right wing to seem edgy, but they're left wing on the compass. I think that's true, but I think that's only true for people who are not informed on politics. I think a lot of people who are not informed on politics will think maybe they're one way. They'll do the quiz and it finds out they're the opposite. We got 30 people in here again. The live has been resurrected.